नमस्कार, गुड आफ्टरनून. You're watching Times Now and I'm Swati Joshi. शुरुआत राहुल गांधी की खबर से कर रहे हैं. Major embarrassment for Congress President Rahul Gandhi in Singapore as Gandhi Sain interacted with Indian diaspora. Rahul was left red-faced after a heated exchange took place on the stage. Congress President was startled and had no direct answers when someone from the audience questioned his family's contribution to India. As Rahul's family was blamed for misrule, he rebuffed persistent query. Let's go across to Mr. P.K. Basu, who asked those tough questions to Rahul Gandhi. Thank you, sir, for speaking to us. Good afternoon to you. Well, that interaction of yours with Rahul Gandhi has become a topic of discussion back here in India, with the reactions coming in that it was a major embarrassment for Rahul Gandhi and that he was not prepared to take those questions.
Well, first of all, I didn't confront Rahul Gandhi. All I did was ask a very factual question. And my factual question was this: why is it that in all the decades that his family ruled India, India's per capita income grew slower than the world average? And yet, in all the years since his family relinquished the prime ministership of this country, our per capita income has grown much faster than the world average. So he had no answer. And I think this is a very fundamental question that all Indians need to ask. Why is it that this is the case, that as long as this family was ruling us, we were underperforming the world despite being one of the poorest countries in the world? At independence, we had the lowest life expectancy of birth of any country on earth. So we should have grown much faster than the world average for those first 40 years, but we didn't. And the family that led us during that period has a lot to answer for. And that's all I was asking, and particularly given that lineage is really Rahul Gandhi's only claim to holding any sort of office.
Well, as far as Rahul Gandhi is concerned, sir, he did point out the fact that there were some mistakes, but he was also talking about the various projects and schemes that were launched during the Congress regime. He also spoke about how there was a revolution as far as the telecom sector is concerned. He spoke about the infrastructure development and obviously the progress that India has made and the name that it has made as far as the space is concerned. So what do you have to say about that, about those things that Rahul Gandhi was mentioning?
Okay, let me start with the Green Revolution. He talked about the Green Revolution. It is quite interesting that the Green Revolution was started by the Prime Minister's office under Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. And the Green Revolution involved very fundamental transformations of the institutional structure. L.K. Jha led the Prime Minister's office in Lal Bahadur Shastri's cabinet, and that is what started the Green Revolution, the massive changes that were required for that. If you look at India's growth trajectory between 1947 and 1980, the two-year period of fastest economic growth was 6.5% under Morarji Bhai Desai. When Morarji Desai was Prime Minister, India grew faster than in any two-year period between 1947 and 1980. So as soon as we had a different leadership other than the Gandhi-Nehru family, India started performing much better. So this is the point that I would like him to address. And I have looked at all the Twitter responses by Shashi Tharoor and Sanjay Jha and many others. And they have ducked the issue. The issue is very simple. The question I ask is simple. It requires a direct answer. Unfortunately, there is no answer. Also, it is important to recognize that Jawaharlal Nehru was not elected by the Congress as leader in 1946, in May 1946.
So you're saying that the Gandhis had no contribution as far as India's growth story is concerned. Stay with us, Mr. Basu. We'll play out that sequence of your interaction with Rahul Gandhi once again, and then I'll come back to you.
My name is P.K. Basu. I'm the author of a book called Asia Reborn, the first comprehensive economic and political history of the whole of Asia. And my question is this. I also teach economic history to students in several business schools. My question is this. Why is it that during the years that your family ruled India, India's per capita income was growing less than the world average? And yet, in the years since your family relinquished the Prime Ministership of India, India's per capita income has grown substantially faster than the world average.
Okay, thank you. That's a very sharp, succinct question. So,
and
Mr.
what is your hypothesis?
I asked you the question. I'm here to ask the question.
That's quite...
My hypothesis is in my book. Please read the book. It's called Asia Reborn.
I mean, you're giving a hell of a lot of power to one family.
No,
right?
See,
let me give you an
okay.
One sec. Let me give you an alternative.
So, since you asked me back a question, let me just elaborate on the question a bit. At the point of independence, India's per capita income was one of the lowest in the world. India's life expectancy at birth was 32 years, the lowest in the world. Africa's average was 38. So, when you are the poorest country in the world, you should be growing faster than the world average in order to close the gap with the rest of the world.
May interrupt.
And unfortunately, during the period of your family's rule,
thank you very much,
India did
Mr.
not
Basu.
achieve that.
Thank you.
That's the question. Why?
Thank you. I mean, there was a sharp question. You can either decide to take it or not.
I can take it if you want.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Do you agree? First of all, do you agree that India is a success today?
Of course.
You do.
A relative success since your family relinquished the prime ministership. Yes.
So
since then, not before.
So you're saying, for example, that I had absolutely no role in Indian politics from 2004 to today. You're saying that? Well, make up your mind. Either I have a role or I don't have a role. You can't give me both options.
Please tell us what your role was.
Okay, I'm going to.
The point is that
if I may, let's not have this dialogue. If I may.
Could you answer the question? I mean, the question is.
May I? Okay, please.
Is there an answer to the question?
Okay.
Yes.
Please answer to the question.
Yes,
I've answered the question.
Crisp, clear question.
Hello.
I've answered the question. I've answered the question.
All right.
Mr. P.K. Basu continues to be with us. We are also joined by senior journalist Ashutosh Mishra. He also has a couple of questions for you, Mr. Basu. But first, are you suggesting that the Gandhi family has absolutely no contribution as far as India's growth story is concerned? And do you also feel that Rahul Gandhi was not prepared to take that question? Because he was trying to give you an alternate narrative. But then you asked him another question and he was stopped right there.
No, I did not ask him any other question. I was waiting for his answer. I gave him 2 or 3 opportunities to answer. Now, my point is that, first of all, India did not get independence because of the Nehru family in any way. India got independence because Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose created the Azad Hind Fauj. The Azad Hind Fauj captured Manipur and much of Nagaland. But the real reason why India got independence is because the INA trials undermined the loyalty of the British Indian Armed Forces and resulted in the RIN mutiny. And as a result of that, Britain had to leave India. So this is another factual point that needs to be made. Now,
but about the growth story, about the growth story. My specific question is, do you believe that the Gandhi family, the Nehru Gandhi family has absolutely no contribution as far as India's growth story is concerned?
No. Look, I am asking a simple question. India underperformed the world. India was the poorest country in the world, and yet its per capita income grew less than the world average. That is a disgrace. Indonesia grew faster than the world average. China grew faster than the world average during the period from 1947 to 1989. India grew less than the world average. If you're the poorest country, you should be growing much faster than the world average in order to close the gap with the richer countries, which is what we started doing since 1991, since Pamulapatti Venkata Narasimha Rao brought about the economic reforms that have transformed India.
Yes.
So, I think the glory of India has been unleashed, and the opportunities for economic transformation have been unleashed by non-members of that family. And so, another scion of the family wants to again be a politician. Now, you see, when Bose came back from England after resigning from the ICS, he became Chief Executive Officer of Calcutta Municipal Corporation. Now, he was an executive. He had executive experience. Nehru did not.
No, but
The tragedy of
Were you
India
satisfied?
is that the
Were
first
you
Prime Minister
satisfied
of
with the
Dominion of
reaction,
India
at least? I won't
had
say
no
answer
executive
with
experience,
that you
and he
got
made a
from
mess
Rahul Gandhi, and he
of
also
economy.
said that you will never be able to ask such direct questions to other leaders, and maybe he was referring to Prime Minister Modi.
I'm happy to have a discussion with Prime Minister Modi. I can assure you he will answer, but it's not for me to be talking about Prime Minister Modi and others. I was at an interaction that he was at in Singapore, and I asked him a very simple, factual question. Anybody who is in public life should be able to answer questions of this sort. That's all.
Well, he's the Congress president. People expect him to be prepared and to handle tough questions as well. Stay with us, Mr. Basu. Request you to stay with us. We are also joined by senior journalist Ashutosh Mishra. Mr. Mishra, we have Mr. Basu live with us, and he's saying he just asked factual questions, but Rahul Gandhi was not able to respond to those. And he's saying that Gandhi family had no contribution as far as India's growth story is concerned.
Now, I've been hearing Mr. Basu, and it seems that he's a better marketer than he's an economic historian, because he said he teaches economic history. Now, is he a Rip Van Winkle who hasn't realized that India has been growing? Two of the most important achievements of today's government, Aadhaar and digitization, were started by the Congress party. And he has this view where he doesn't even appreciate all the contribution from Pandit Nehru, Mahatma Gandhi. He has forgotten Mahatma Gandhi, and he has a different narrative about how we gained our independence.
He wants to
obviously
respond.
He hasn't been reading economic
Mr.
history
Basu
well,
wants to respond to
or
that,
at least he has got this biased view. The only question I would like to ask him is even today, this morning, we have a Japan JETRO person saying that they will be inviting 2 lakh IT professionals from India. Now, when were these IITs and IIMs set up?
Yes.
They were set up. These are the temples of modern India.
Mr. Basu, Mr. Mishra says that you have a biased view. Why don't you talk about the IT revolution?
Well, Pandit Madan Mohan
And
Malviya
who started that? Sam Petroda and Rajiv Gandhi started that. Digitization and Aadhaar were started by the Congress party, and they are now touted as one of the...
long before Pandit Nehru. That is where the electrical and mechanical engineering began in Banaras Hindu University in 1916. So please don't give us this nonsense.
To say that Pandit Nehru, Mahatma Gandhi, they had no contribution to make to Indian history and Indian economic growth is making mockery of the facts. Even he is talking about Narasimha Rao, he is talking about Lal Bahadur Shastri.
Mr. Mishra, let him respond, and then you can maybe pose another question to him.
Selected by the Nehru family.
The mythology of the Nehru-Gandhi family is, the mythology of the Nehru-Gandhi family is that they were responsible for all kinds of beautiful things in India. The simple fact is that India's per capita income grew less than the world average during the entire period that the Nehru family ruled India. Ever since the Nehru family has stopped ruling India, and even during the brief
explain that you are the economic historian, that what was there instead of just saying that they have done nothing and there has been no economic growth.
Yes, Mr. Basu, Mr. Mishra, stay with us. We are also joined by BJP spokesperson Mr. Narayan Tirupati. But before I go to him, Mr. Basu, we are also taking callers on this broadcast and they want to ask you questions. Request your attention to their questions, sir. Mr. Santana Krishnan is joining us from Chennai. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yes, the person is making a very gross mistake. After independence, the population of India grew at very fast rate, and therefore the per capita income grew at a less rate. And after Indira Gandhi brought about family planning, the population began to be controlled, and then that is the reason why the per capita income was growing at a faster rate. So there is absolutely no justice or economic factuals in what this gentleman is telling.
Mr. Basu, your response.
Wrong. Yes.
This is complete rubbish. This is complete rubbish because if you look at the density of population, Japan's density of population was much higher than India's. Korea's density of population was higher than India's, and yet they grew much faster. They transformed themselves into fully developed countries. If you look at China and Indonesia, they had large populations, fast-growing populations. They outperformed India during the entire period that the Gandhi family ruled, this Nehru family ruled India. So, and somebody mentioned that Gandhi ji is not getting any credit. Of course, Gandhiji deserves a lot of credit. But why didn't Gandhiji become India's first Prime Minister?
All right,
because
sir,
the British
we have another
wanted
caller,
Nehru.
another question for you, sir. Mr. Basu, another question. Noor Ahmed wants to ask you a question. He's joining us from Mumbai. Yes, Noor Ahmed, go ahead.
And the entire history
Mr. Basu, listen to his question. Noor Ahmed, go ahead.
Yes, please, Noor Ahmed ji. Adjust.
Mr. Noor Ahmed, can you hear me, sir? All right, I believe Noor Ahmed is not with us. Ankita is calling us from Pune. Ankita, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make a point that Mr. Basu is not talking about whether the Congress had an impact on India's history or, this period of 60 years. He's making a point that why the growth rate was not high as it should be. So the point is that it's not whether they have made an impact or not, but the impact should have been much more. But because there was just one family, so they have just curbed the growth of India, as compared to what it should be. So his point is not whether they have made.
So you agree with what Mr. Basu? Yes. So basically, you agree with what Mr. Basu, what Mr. Basu asked Rahul Gandhi and what he wanted to know. We have other callers also on this broadcast. I believe.
Can I respond to the question?
Yes. Please go ahead, Mr. Basu.
Thank you for that question. That is exactly right. The point is that the Congress was a great institution. It included Gandhiji, it included some periods, it included Netaji. But the simple fact is, organization was captured by one family. And that family, when Nehru was appointed the leader of Congress in May 1946, he was not elected. The PCCs, the Pradesh Congress committees, chose Patel. 12 out of 15 chose Patel. 2 chose Kripalani. None chose Jawaharlal Nehru. And yet he was appointed essentially at the behest of the British. Gandhiji said the British would prefer Jawaharlal. And the British chose Jawaharlal. Why? Because when the INA was at the borders of India, had conquered Moirang in Manipur, had been welcomed to Moirang in Manipur by Mairembang Koireng Singh, the future first Chief Minister of Manipur. Nehru went to Assam and said, I will fight Subhash Bose.
No, but then your question was specifically related to the per capita income growth and the growth story of India and their contributions. That is what you questioned. So let's have some more callers who want to ask you questions. Vijay is now joining us from Delhi. Yes, Vijay, go ahead with your question.
Firstly, I would like to congratulate Mr. Basu for disturbing the hornet's nest and putting the economic terms into the right perspective. What I understand from him is the comparative analysis of the ruling of the Congress by the Gandhi family vis-a-vis the non-Congress party. That economic sense makes a lot of understanding and meaning. It is not attacking Gandhi family per se. The conditions which prevailed for Congress was far better compared to the non-Congress government. Please understand the basic tenets of the discussion. Secondly, I totally agree with him. If you read history correctly, the Lord Clement Attlee, who was a Prime Minister at the time of independence, when he visited India after independence in Calcutta, he made a specific reference to the role of the INA and the exit of the British Army and the British government from India. Had we continued in the peaceful terms, it wouldn't have happened. Because of the losses in the Second World War in the European sector and in the African sector, it became unsustainable for India to be held. And Indian National Army played a pivotal role. It was the last nail on the coffin. That's what I want to say.
All right, Mr. Vijay. So thank you. Thank you for calling us. Another caller, Mr. Ramana is joining us from Hyderabad. Yes, go ahead, please.
May I respond to Vijay ji?
So I'll take another question and then you can respond to both the questions.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Ramana, go ahead.
Opinion is what Mr. Basu is saying is absolutely nothing new in my opinion. It has been, we very well know that the family rule what we had was a lost opportunity for the country. Absolutely, definitely whatever growth happened even you don't do anything. So we could have done much better than what happened, and that will remain
All right,
a
could have
lost
done much
opportunity.
better. Thank you, sir. Thank you for calling us. We also have Mr. Ashutosh Mishra and Narayan Tirupati with us. Mr. Mishra, the caller somewhere agreeing with what Mr. Basu said, and they like his comparative analysis. They are also adding some facts from their side.
No, but they don't know the whole fact. They are ill-informed. What they don't know is Jawaharlal Nehru fought INA's case at Lal Killa. So to say that Jawaharlal Nehru tried to sabotage INA is a lie.
False. False.
This is a lie. This is a lie. This is not the truth. Now, what we are talking about here is economic history, and we are confusing. We are trying to hide the economic facts behind all this INA versus Jawaharlal Nehru talk. We are here to talk about how Indian economy has grown, and we have to realize that whatever is being reaped today was sown by the Congress party and its policies.
All right.
To say that everything has happened in the last few years, I mean,
he's not saying it has happened in the last few years. We have another caller as well. Mr. Mishra, stay with us, sir. Anil is calling us from Pune. He has a question or wants to make a point maybe. Yes, Anil, go ahead. Anil, are you with us? All right. Another caller, Mr. Shiv Kumar, calling us from Bengaluru. Mr. Shiv Kumar, if you have a question, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a point to make here.
Yeah.
The point is that Jawaharlal Nehru and Indira Gandhi, hello?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
These are the Prime Minister during Congress regime who did blunders which brought our economy down. For example, Jawaharlal Nehru stopped production of arms in the ordnance factory and invited Chinese president before 1962 and showed them the factories. And the Chinese president, who came to know that India was not prepared for war, invaded our country in 1962 and large part of our territory is gone to China now. Secondly, in 1971 war, when Indira Gandhi, we had 90,000 Pakistani troops, we did not negotiate the Jammu Kashmir.
All right, but he specifically asked a question on the per capita income growth. So, Mr. Basu, we are getting several calls from Times Now viewers who are watching this broadcast live at the moment and have a lot of questions, in fact, for you. I request you to stay with us, sir. Mr. Babu Rao is calling us from Bengaluru. He has a question, maybe. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Good afternoon. And first, I want to
congratulate
Times Now for the wonderful thing that you have done of bringing an international conference of this caliber, which I don't think any other channel is doing it also. And first, I would like to congratulate Mr. Basu for opening up this debate. And let me tell you, honestly, I've been a head of a multinational company. I've been all around different parts of the world. We had great opportunity if only we had concentrated on good education right from beginning, manufacturing, and probably tied up with Germany and other growing economies like Japan, rather than depending just on Russia, trying to create a socialistic pattern. And the socialistic pattern killed the incentive for the people to prosper.
All right.
In the last couple
So we have a lot of callers, in fact, who are calling us. Mr. Basu, just one more question for you, and then you can respond to all of them together. Neeraj is, in fact, calling us from Singapore. Yes, Neeraj, go ahead.
Nice to have you on the call. So just wanted to suggest that when he asked that what is my role play from 2004 to 2014, would have asked that give me some accomplishments from the Amethi constituency itself. What you have done for the last 10-14 years.
All right. Thank you for calling us and sharing your views. Mr. Basu, you are getting a lot of support, in fact, from people who are watching you at the moment, and they also like the fact that you had a direct question for Rahul Gandhi.
Well, it was a very simple question. It wasn't answered. Mr. Ashutosh Mishra has no answer either. He is trying to change the topic. And when you come to the reality, I think it all goes back to the starting point.
You are talking about
the starting point.
You didn't have a question. You didn't have a direct question on economic facts. You were just selling your books. When he asked you what's your hypothesis, you said read the book. Now, a person you are just trying to sell your book by saying go and read the book.
So, if you want to read the book, please do. But the important
thing you can't twist what I have said, na. You are twisting what I am saying.
Okay, let him respond.
The simple fact is that had Patel become our first Prime Minister, as the Pradesh Congress committees chose him, we would have had a different trajectory. Had Netaji been our first Prime Minister, we would have had a far different trajectory. It would have been much more.
So you're saying that Indian politics in India would have been better off without the Gandhis?
The simple fact is that we had the tragedy of having a man with his head in the clouds, Nehru. You know, in 1938, Subhash Bose appointed appointed Jawaharlal as head of the planning committee of Congress. Instead, he was in the Spanish Civil War. He was playing witness to the Spanish Civil War instead of helping the Congress governments in all the provinces of India.
No, but Mr. Basu, you specifically wanted to know about the growth story. You wanted to know about their contribution in the economy of the country. And we have Mr. Ajpal is calling us from Chennai. Stay with us, sir. Stay with us. Mr. Ajpal has a question for you. Yes, please go ahead, sir.
He does not have economic facts to support his theory.
The theory is very simple.
I will come back to you with that point, sir. Mr. Ajpal, another caller at times now viewer is calling us. He wants to ask you a question. Yes, go ahead.
Until 1989. This is the fact.
Mr. Ajpal, if you can hear me, sir, go ahead.
Yeah,
since 1991.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Basu.
Gandhi family members running
Mr. Basu, there is a question for you. Mr. Basu, there is a question for you. Yes, go ahead.
Hello.
Sir, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Mr. Basu. Mr. Basu?
Sir, he can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Basu, let me thank you very much for bringing to the notice of the country people, stating that Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru was made Prime Minister on the behest of British people. And the independence given to the country was not because of Nehru and Gandhi alone. It was only Dr. Subhash Chandra Bose, and I salute you. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ajpal, for calling us. We have Mr. Menon from Bengaluru and Dr. Agarwal from Mumbai. Mr. Menon, go ahead.
You know, the annual GDP growth rate during Nehru's period from 1951 to 1964 were 4% per annum, whereas during the 50 years, during the British colonial period, was just 1.4%. So we had 4% higher annual growth rates during Nehru's period. That is one thing. Second thing, the Make in India is nothing but Nehru's self-reliance in a different label under the present Prime Minister. Nehru emphasized public sector, all heavy industries in the public sector. So Make in India is nothing but Modi's Make in India is nothing but a repetition of Nehru's self-reliance policy, which was also continued by...
It's a repetition of Nehru's policy is what the caller is saying. And just one more question for you, and then you can respond to that.
If I could just respond to that, sir.
Just one more question. Just one more question. Dr. Agarwal is patiently waiting to ask you a question. Dr. Agarwal, go ahead. Dr. Agarwal.
With you. Yes, I'm speaking. Mr. Basu, I fully agree with your concept, what you have said. And but we have to also consider we had 2 wars with Pakistan and China, 1 war in China, right? And this is also impacting on the economy heavily. Secondly, I fully agree why our economy doesn't grow under Congress rule, because there was almost a family and dictatorship rule kind of thing. They never give a free hand to any ministry because it's a one-man show or one-lady show.
All right.
So now this time it has been changed.
Thank you, Dr. Agarwal. Thank you. Now, Mr. Basu, there are callers who maybe agree with you, but then they want you to highlight other points as well and not ignore some other facts. One of them is saying that the policies that you see today and the projects that are being launched, just an extension of the previous government and maybe Nehru's policy.
No, they are not any extension at all. Anyway, but let me start with the first thing. You know, the reason why we had the 1962 war is partly because in 1950, when China invaded Tibet, throughout the history of Tibet was an independent country. It was always our neighbor. China invaded Tibet in October 1950.
So the caller was trying to bring to your notice the impact that it had. The impact that it had on the economy of this country. 2 wars and their impact. And Mr. Narayan Tirupati of the Bharatiya Janata Party is also with us, sir. In fact, he also wants to make a point. Mr. Tirupati, first your reaction to that interaction, which has now in a way gone viral in this country and become a topic of discussion.
Maulana Azad called Krishna Menon a communist fellow traveler.
Basu,
and Maulana Azad wrote his book.
Mr. Basu, Mr. Tirupati wants to talk to you. He is the spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. He wants to talk to you. Yes, Mr. Tirupati, go ahead.
Krishna Menon
first of all, Mr. Basu, please.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Tirupati, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah. See, first of all, Mr. Basu has asked a right question to a wrong person. It is not that, this question was not right or wrong or some other thing. Mr. Rahul Gandhi did not understand what he asked, as usual. And Mr. Rahul, he would not have prepared for the question and answer session because the answers would not have been prepared by his assistants or people who teach him. That is the problem. See, this particular question, it was very clearly asked by Mr. Basu. If Rahul did not know, he could have very easily said, I am sorry, I am not aware of this particular thing. This I have to check and verify and come back to you. For that, he did not answer directly or indirectly.
And that
he was
is an important point, Mr. Mishra. Even if you don't agree with the question or Mr. Basu's analysis, Rahul Gandhi was not able to answer that question. We have a caller, Vaibhav is calling us from Allahabad. Yes, Vaibhav, go ahead.
No, if you...
Vaibhav? All right, let me go across to Mr. Bohra, another Times Now viewer watching this broadcast and wants to make a point. Sir, go ahead.
See, if he doesn't know what is per capita
Mr.
income,
Basu is
he should have said,
uncharitable
I
to
don't
the
know.
Nehru Gandhi family. Our first Prime Minister built the scientific temperament. He built institutions which led to further growth.
Yes.
Mr. Rajiv Gandhi gave computerization.
Even if Nehru was not there, somebody would have done it.
No, compare what happened to India and Pakistan.
No, what happened to all these 5-year plans? All got devastated. All got devastated.
Let the
What
caller
happened
make
to
a
the
point,
public
Mr.
enterprises?
Tirupati. The caller
All
is
this
just
went
wanting
because of corruption.
The caller is just wanting to make a point, Mr. Tirupati.
All
Mr. Tirupati, let the Times Now viewers are watching you and they're watching this debate. They want to make a point. Let them have the sir.
So let's talk economics.
Let the caller make a point.
Now, what Mr. Basu is trying to do here is talk more about politics and less about economics.
Mr. Basu, you are uncharitable towards the Nehru Gandhi family, says one caller. Mr. Mishra is saying that you are just talking about politics.
Better as an economy than India.
China was not our neighbor. Mr. Basu rightly said China was not our neighbor. Only by giving, by freely giving it to China through UN. That is what Nehru did a mistake.
Okay, one by one. Mr. Basu, your response to what Times Now viewers are saying. One of them is saying you are uncharitable towards Nehru Gandhi family, and Mr. Mishra is saying you're talking only about the politics.
I have demonstrated how India financed the Industrial Revolution in the UK. I have demonstrated it in the book.
He's trying to sell his book. Why should we read his book? He should tell us if he has a formula.
Please tell us what is there in the book, sir.
I have shown it.
He wants us to buy his book. He's just selling his book.
Read it. 700-page book. Read the book.
No, but we, at the moment,
read it.
At the moment, Mr. Mishra's question is that you are only talking about politics. You are not making a specific point, Mr. Mishra.
Right. Now, if you want to talk about the economy, that is exactly what I want you to do, Mr. Ashutosh Mishra, and you're not doing it. Even Pakistan outperformed India from 47 to 77. India started outperforming.
You have made an allegation. You back it up with facts.
Murarji became Prime Minister.
You are just making vague allegations and you are just trying to run down everybody. Because you are just selling your book. Read my book, read my book, read my book. You first tell me what is there for me to go and buy your book, na?
Green
If you are
Revolution,
selling your book, you tell me.
by Shastriji, faster economic growth under Murarji Bhai. So as soon as we had a non-Nehru person leading the country, we were doing better. And then, of course, Narasimha Rao, we need to pay
policies take time to materialize. So it was the policy which was shown by the earlier party, earlier government, which Morarji Desai and other people you are talking about are reaping.
It lifted our prospects
Mr.
dramatically.
Basu, Mr. Mishra is saying, why should we read your book? Why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us what is there in the book instead of saying, go read my book? Stay with us. We also have Mr. Venkat, Mr. Karthik, and Mr. Mohan Singh, Times Now viewers who want to make a point. Yes, Mr. Venkat, please go ahead.
The question here is that why Rahul did not say. The question here is that why Rahul did not say that he doesn't know what is per capita income, or Mr. Basu never asked.
Okay, you're saying why couldn't Rahul Gandhi respond to that question? Let us also listen to what our viewers want to say, sir. Mr. Venkat is with us. Yes. All right. I believe Mr. Karthik from Bengaluru is now with us. Mr. Karthik, go ahead.
Yeah, hi all. I just have a basic question, quick one. The question being raised on Times Now is, did Rahul answer the question? And am I, as a citizen, okay with the answer? Simple fact, all your panelists, Mr. Basu, amazing job you did. I just want to say, the question was, why does India not grow when the Gandhi family is in rule? And look at the Modi alternative, so-called Chota Bheem. answers saying, well, do you know whether I have contributed for the last 14 years? How is that even an answer?
You are saying the question wasn't answered because you are biased. He gave a reply.
So if people believe that Rahul Gandhi was not able to answer the questions, Mr. Mishra, you're saying they're biased.
You're
saying they're biased. Mr. Mishra, it was evident also in the video that Rahul Gandhi was a little uncomfortable. He was not prepared to handle that question. He could have replied with statistics, with numbers. He could have replied, Mr. Mishra. He could have spoken about the contribution of the Nehru-Gandhi family in India's economic growth. He could have handled that very, very well.
Yes, yes.
No, but it's very obvious. It's very obvious. If you want him to just reel out statistics, if you see the whole interaction, I have also seen as much interaction as you have. I don't find him unable to answer what Mr. Basu had asked. And in fact, if you see, the mediator there was more interested in glossing over the questions.
So you're saying Rahul Gandhi wanted to answer, but the mediator did not let him. Stay with us. We have another Times Now viewer wants to make a point. Mr. Mohan Singh joining us from Faridabad. Mr. Singh, go ahead.
He gave him the option that if you don't want to answer the question, please
one second, sir. Let the viewers have their say. Let them make a point.
You are a citizen of India.
Yes, Mr. Singh, go ahead.
I am a student of economics. I know this.
Yes, Mr. Singh, go ahead, sir.
Hello.
Sir, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Let's not talk about politics.
हेलो
मिस्टर सिंह, आप मुझे अगर सुन पा रहे हैं सर, तो बोलिए क्या कहना चाहते हैं?
हाँ, देखिए मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ, ये जो क्वेश्चन है जस्ट ए मिनट मिस्टर बासु, हाँ सुन रहा हूँ, मैं सुन रहा हूँ। देखिए ये जो क्वेश्चन है डॉक्टर बासु का, ये क्वेश्चन बहुत रेलेवेंट है। इसको वी आर नॉट ब्लेमिंग एनी प्रीवियस रिजीम, जस्ट सी, but what was the fault? Our plans were very good. What was the fault? Fault was the sequence of policies.
All right, Mr. Singh. Thank you, sir. शुक्रिया, Mr. Singh, आपका हमको फोन करने के लिए और अपनी राय साझा करने के लिए, and thank you to all the viewers who called in to either ask a question or make a point. Mr. Basu, Mr. Mishra feels that you have an agenda.
My agenda is the prosperity of India. My agenda is to try and ensure that India can do as well as its East Asian neighbors have done, and my agenda is to find out why India failed to do so, to do well as its neighbors. I have been investigating this question for the last 25 years, and my answers are very clear. I asked factual questions based on the facts that are very clear. So now, if you look at per capita income growth, India has underperformed during the Nehru family's rule.
India has been ravaged by the British. We had financed the Industrial Revolution, and he created a policy which today has helped create IITs, IIMs, the educational system, the dams of India, what are known as modern temples of India.
He is not talking about politics. He's just giving some facts and based on those facts he's asking a question that Rahul Gandhi was not able to answer, Mr. Mishra.
If we are talking about economics, then these are the economic facts. And it was because of the economic impetus that he gave us that today we are here what we are.
Yes, Mr. Tirupati has another argument to offer. Yes, Mr. Tirupati.
Which had an electrical and mechanical engineering courses in 1960.
You take number of IITs created during Congress period. You take number of IITs created during BJP period. In a short span of time, we have created all those things.
We are talking about policy. We are talking about ideas, not just simple numbers.
Done this. All these 5-year plans.
Okay, one by one. One second. Let me play that sequence once again. वो जो इंटरैक्शन हुआ था मिस्टर मिश्रा, वो इंटरैक्शन एक बार फिर से प्ले करते हैं, फिर से वो इंटरैक्शन प्ले करते हैं, सवाल भी दोबारा सुन लेते हैं, राहुल गांधी का रिएक्शन भी दोबारा देख लेते हैं, एक बार पहले वो सीक्वेंस प्ले कर लेते हैं.
My name is P.K. Basu. I'm the author of a book called Asia Reborn, the first comprehensive economic and political history of the whole of Asia. And my question is this. I also teach economic history to students in several business schools. My question is this. Why is it that during the years that your family ruled India, India's per capita income was growing less than the world average? And yet, in the years since your family relinquished the Prime Ministership of India, India's per capita income has grown substantially faster than the world average.
Okay, thank you. That's a very sharp, succinct question. So,
and what is your hypothesis?
I asked you the question. I'm here to ask the question.
That's quite...
My hypothesis is in my book. Please read the book. It's called Asia Reborn.
I mean, you're giving a hell of a lot of power to one family.
No,
right?
See,
let me give you one sec. Let me give you an alternative.
So, since you asked me back a question, let me just elaborate on the question a bit. At the point of independence, India's per capita income was one of the lowest in the world. India's life expectancy at birth was 32 years, the lowest in the world. Africa's average was 38. So, when you are the poorest country in the world, you should be growing faster than the world average in order to close the gap with the rest of the world.
May interrupt.
And unfortunately, during the period of your family's rule,
thank you very much,
India did
Mr.
not
Basu.
achieve that.
Thank you.
That's the question. Why?
Thank you. I mean, there was a sharp question. You can either decide to take it or not.
I can take it if you want.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Do you agree? First of all, do you agree that India is a success today?
Of course.
You do.
A relative success since your family relinquished the Prime Ministership. Yes.
So
since then, not before.
So you're saying, for example, that I had absolutely no role in Indian politics from 2004 to today. You're saying that? Well, make up your mind. Either I have a role or I don't have a role. You can't give me both options.
Please tell us what your role was.
Okay, I'm going to.
Point is that
if I may, let's not have this dialogue. If I may,
could you answer the question? I mean, the question is.
May I? Okay, please.
Is there an answer to the question?
Okay.
Yes. Please answer the question.
Yes, I've answered the question.
Very crisp, clear question.
Hello. I've answered the question. I've answered the question.
All right.
Mr. Basu, well, Rahul Gandhi may not have answered your question based on facts, but when he did manage to reply, he was, he in a way also impressed people sitting there. And we are also given to understand that there were a couple of people there who were supporting Rahul Gandhi throughout when he was trying to make a point that yes, the Gandhi Nehru family and the Congress had a lot to contribute in India's economy.
And let me tell Mr. Basu that why India is growing faster today. One of the reasons is the global slowdown, where the rest of the countries are growing at a slower rate than India is today.
So you're not taking into account other factors,
it's not
Mr.
to say that it's just the policies.
Yes, so basically Mr. Mishra is saying you're not taking into account
other
factors.
We have all heard about 2008 and 9, the global financial meltdown, hasn't he? I mean, he's an economic historian, he claims.
Okay, now let him respond.
Do you know that in the last quarter, India's GDP recovered mainly because of 12% year
because of the comedy created by Rahul.
Fastest growing economy in the world. That's a reasonable performance. Fastest growing economy in the world right now. That is essentially what India should be doing. India should be the fastest growing economy in the world and helping to close the gap between our low levels of per capita income and the world average. We have to catch up with the world. So during the periods when you catch up, you grow much faster than the rest of the world.
We have to realize that this is a race. Earlier, all the runners were running at a fast pace, so our pace looked slow. Today, we are running at a fast pace, but the others have also slowed down. That is also a reason why today it looks that we are growing faster. When the fact of the matter is that global slowdown has had a lot to contribute to that.
Even if you don't agree with Mr. Basu's analysis, my question is, couldn't Rahul Gandhi have handled this better?
Yeah. See, he doesn't know what is per capita income. That is the problem. That is the problem. Please understand.
No,
in a very serious action movie, people clap for a comedy show. That is why they have clapped.
Whatever answer he has given.
All right.
No, this is all. What we are
thanks now viewers are calling in, sir. Thanks now viewers are calling in. They want to make a point. Mr. Girish is calling us from Faridabad. Girish, go ahead.
Well, I asked a very simple question, Mr. Mishra.
I actually want to make
the question was very simple.
First of all, I don't understand what is so big about this Rahul Gandhi.
Family can give us.
Not only his family.
Mr. Basu, viewer wants to make a point. Yes, Girish, go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I want to make 2 points. See, first of all, I don't know what is so big about this Rahul Gandhi. Not only his family, the entire party is trying to make this thing that he's grown up. See, they are just saying one thing, that he is able to take such tough questions. So is it about taking questions internationally on the international forum, which might be orchestrated by all these people? That's one thing. Keep it aside. All these people, the gentleman sitting in the blue shirt is always talking about what happened, Nehru and all. We all know what happened in this country. The way this country would have grown in this span of time.
Yes, point taken, Girish. Thank you. Thank you for calling us. Ashok Kumar, another viewer, wants to make a point. Yes, Mr. Ashok Kumar, go ahead. All right, I believe we've lost that line with Mr. Ashok Kumar. If I can go across to Ram, he's calling us from Bengaluru. Mr. Ram, can you hear me? All right, I believe we've lost that line with our viewers, but viewers are calling in continuously. They want to make a point, want to ask questions to Mr. Basu as well. Mr. Mishra, what is so big about Rahul Gandhi? Asked one of the viewers that इस बात पर इतना जोर क्यों दिया जा रहा है कि राहुल गांधी को सवाल पूछा गया और वो जवाब नहीं दे पाए, जबकि ये बहुत बड़ा सच है कि अगला प्रधानमंत्री कौन होगा इस सवाल पर कांग्रेस पार्टी उनका नाम आगे लेती है, उनको प्रोजेक्ट करने की कोशिश करती है. टू व्हिच अनदर कॉलर एडेड दैट राहुल गांधी इंटरनेशनल फोरम्स में जाकर ये लोगों को एड्रेस कर रहे हैं, बातचीत कर रहे हैं, उनको ज्यादा प्रिपेयर होना चाहिए था. ही शुड हैव बीन एबल टू हैंडल टफ क्वेश्चंस.
If I might just answer,
I'm not a Congress spokesperson, so I can't answer on his behalf. But as a viewer, what I saw, there was a question, there was a biased question to which he gave a balanced answer. That's all I can say.
No, even if the question,
the fact of the matter is that today,
he was stating some facts.
As a voter,
the facts
I
were,
see
you're
that
saying it was a biased question.
Rahul Gandhi
he was
will be a
stating some facts,
ministerial candidate, and this is a. Who was stating some facts?
Mr. Basu.
Okay, if I might just say, you see the problem
Mr. Basu didn't state a fact. He just put up his question, which was extremely biased. If he had a hypothesis, he should have said that this is why I think that Nehru Gandhi family has failed to deliver. He didn't have that. He just had this. I mean, from what I've been hearing so far, I haven't heard any.
But before that, Mr. Basu, before you tell us your hypothesis, Anil Parmar is calling us.
I'm an independent.
Times Now viewer is calling us from Ahmedabad, sir. Mr. Parmar, if you can hear me, go ahead.
Hypothesis is basically
before you tell us your hypothesis, sir, please. There's a viewer who wants to ask a question. Mr. Parmar, go ahead.
Yes, I'm Anil Parmar from Ahmedabad. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Now, when he is talking about per capita income and other things, when only 1% of the Indian population is having 73% capital, and 70 crore of people do not have anything in their hand, what is the fun in doing all these things?
Another viewer, Suvir, is calling us from Dubai. Yes, Suvir, go ahead. Suvir, go ahead, please.
One simple request to all the economists on the panel that they should only listen to each other first, especially the person who is supporting the Congress team from Rahul Gandhi. And because we cannot understand as a viewer sometimes when they are interrupting each other.
So what is your question,
Thank you. My question is, you can see from the judgment from Rahul's reactions that he was completely baffled. And that is very clear and nobody has to protect it. You can see it actually. Thank you for this.
All right. Thank you for calling us.